People who separated, divorced within 1 year of getting married. When did you know it was a mistake? She went out for girls' night and met a new friend named Nicole at a bar. Started texting her a lot, then going to hang out now and then. We had a baby at home and she kept trying to go hang out with this girl from another town over with no last name whom I was not allowed to meet. His real name was Wesley. And here I thought she was just going to turn out to be a lesbian. This was Carol's favorite beer. She always drank it out of the can. I should have known. Grab a spoon. I honestly don't know if I'm hungry or horny. Then stay out of my freezer. A couple of weeks into our marriage, the sex started to physically hurt. I went to my OB and after a test or two, she informed me I had contracted chlamydia. That's when I knew. Turns out, my newlywed husband had been banging his coworker for months. Hopefully he didn't gaslight you and try to convince you that you had it before and it was dormant. And technically you gave it to him. That happened to one of my friends. Deplorable. I brought this up with my doctor after the initial diagnosis. I thought what you said in your above comment had to be the case, that I must have contracted it from a former partner years ago. My OB explained that had I had chlamydia all those years, I would have noticed some of its long-term effects. She was fairly certain I had contracted it recently. I'm so glad that wasn't your case. Not that you had it at all, but that you knew it wasn't your fault. A bunch of dudes reading this just filed that away for future use. Not me, but a friend of mine. They had been married about 6 weeks. She had just moved in when they returned from the honeymoon. And she was rearranging furniture, organizing closets, etc., one day while he was at work. She started pulling some of his boxes down from a closet shelf to make room for her things. And a box fell down accidentally, spilling hundreds of pictures of child porn. Divorced the pedo after reporting him to the military police. They were both in the military. Correct response. And a big yikes for the man to have those kind of things in his possession. When she pulled a knife a month in, I still stayed for a full year like an idiot. Not an idiot. Glad you got out. Relationships can make your brain do the craziest mental gymnastics to justify all the bullshit. Abusive relationships especially. It's remarkable what you begin to think is normal or is your own fault. My son's dad would threaten me, call me horrible names. Tell me I was fat and useless and ugly. He told me he would kill me if I ever went for full custody. And for a long time I actually believed I was the one who was a bad partner. I felt like I deserved his treatment of me. It still fricks with me mentally, and I've been out for over 5 years. And honestly the only reason I got out was to protect my son. I had a girlfriend pull a knife on me as I was moving out, to try to get me to stay. Yeah, no, bye. Well, you make a strong case. Let me go get my bags back out of my car, see you in a sec. She decided she was in love with her stepbrother a month after we got married. I'm pretty sure I watched a preview of a scene with the same plot line last night. Yeah, the movie Clueless. Where I caught my new bride having a workplace affair while I was receiving cancer treatments. It was not a pleasant time for me. Frick her. Not me but my dad. He got back from his honeymoon and went back to work. He came home and something felt off when he walked in the door. She wasn't there when he got home from work, which was very odd for her since she got off work earlier than him and was always home when he got back. When she got back he mentioned that it was out of the ordinary that she had been out and asked if she went somewhere. He wasn't accusatory, just curious because it never happened. But she dodged his questions at first. Eventually, after he got suspicious of her dodging a simple question, she admitted that she'd quit her job, and when he asked why, she said she didn't need to work. So she was planning on using him as her cash cow. He doesn't remember how the conversation went exactly since it was 30 years ago. He tried counseling and asked her to get her job back, but she always brushed him off and never took him seriously. He threw in the towel 7 months later and she started trying to fix things. But it had been 7 months of him trying to fix things and she had no interest. So he filed for divorce and went on to achieve his lifelong dream. He dated and then married his middle school crush, my mom. 28 years strong. Or I like this one the best. I'm ending here on a high note. My Mill got married the first time when she was really young. Left him a month later. Turns out he was a raging alcoholic. She had no idea because her family was super overprotective and they were never really allowed to spend time together alone before they got married. Who knew spending time with someone could be the key to knowing if they are a good partner? And this is why I plan to live with my partner for at least a year or so before getting married. I want to know what the hell I'm getting into before we're stuck together. Edit. To the people saying more than a year is better, I completely agree. I'm just saying that's my absolute bare minimum. Less than a year into actively trying to get pregnant he got discouraged. Gave up and started staying out until 4:15 a.m. with his coworker. He posted selfies on her couch on Snapchat and even went as far as asking her to marry him once he could get rid of me. He had 2 biological children, my stepchildren, that he abandoned at home with me while he was out doing this. The icing on the cake was that on my favorite holiday, while holding my brand new baby nephew in front of his entire family, he told me he wanted a divorce. I was gone in 2 weeks. Left everything to him, and vanished. New number, new address, everything. Best choice I ever made. Jesus, he really believed that was the time to announce divorce. I hope his entire family was pissed at him too. I'm glad you're away from him now. That's the kind of person who is either a coward or insanely delusional. A cousin of mine divorced her husband after 6 months. She knew when we had to pick her up from her home after having been recently beaten. That day, we packed up all of her stuff and never let her go back. I'm happy that you guys could be there for her and help her get out. Hope she is doing well now. She's doing so much better. Discovered that she loves traveling and a good adrenaline rush. Has done everything from jumping off buildings to skydiving and learning how to box. Not me, but my brother. We grew up on a ranch. Bro's girlfriend comes from the city, but during visits to the ranch, she dives right in. Helping our mom around the house and participating in all the stuff we do, horseback riding, ATVs, etc., and claiming, and appearing, to love it. Brother so happy his city gal is compatible with the ranch lifestyle he grew up in, even though he is now working in the city and their life will be in the city. He just loved that she was able to connect with him that way and more importantly, with his family. They date for approximately 18 months, make many visits to the ranch, and all is well. She insists that she wants to have her wedding at my parents' home, my folks go all out, have both families there, everyone has a great time. The next morning, we have a send-off breakfast for the couple. They head to the airport for their honeymoon. My mom and bride's mom are visiting afterward and bride's mom mentions she's glad my mom had no hard feelings that her daughter and my brother will no longer be coming out to the ranch. My mom is like, what do you mean? Bride's mom says, oh, I thought Laura told you that having the wedding here was her gift to you to have your son home one last time with all his family here. My mom goes white as a sheet. We all are stunned. We are confused as to whether my brother knows this, and more importantly, has agreed to this. My other brother, who has his own history of family drama, texts our big bro saying, is it true that this is your last time visiting mom and dad? And big bro texts back, what are you talking about? Middle bro says, ask your new wife. Needless to say, the honeymoon never happens. It turns out that his wife had been hiding her belief that that man leaves his family behind and becomes part of the woman's family. It was fully her intent to never visit my parents again, to spend all holidays at her parents' home, to have any future children only have relationships with her family, and on and on. My brother literally had no idea these were her beliefs, desires. To this day I don't know if she was evil or just clueless. They remained married for about a month until the divorce was final, but my bro never saw her again after the day after wedding day. Easily one of the more insane stories in this thread. Amazing. Right? I've never even heard of such a thing. Hell, everyone has heard friends talk about whose house they're going to this year, as in, we went to my wife's folks last year, so this year we're heading to mine. What kind of draconian blood pact does she have in her family? Has she only seen one set of grandparents? WTF? So many questions. Upvote for Draconian Blood Pact. A cousin of mine married someone who seemed like the perfect woman. They worked in the same store together, and he would brag about how his wife was getting promoted quickly in the company. A few months into the marriage, she tells him she's going out with friends for the evening. An hour or so later, my cousin gets a call from one of his friends. The friend saw her having dinner in a restaurant with the manager of the store that they both worked at. Once he confronted her about it, that was basically the end of the marriage. This was similar to a friend of mine. His wife spent years trying to alienate him from his friends. After they got married, they bought a house near his job. She decided she didn't like the commute to her job, even though it was practically the same, and started staying at her parents'. Friend finds out from her parents she hasn't been staying there. Turns out she was going out and partying with coworkers, then staying with an ex. Why people do this kind of thing? I can't understand why.